Hi, everybody, and this is Auntie. Let's talk all things. 90 Day Fiance, The Single Life, Season 5, Episode 2, The Act of Tinseling. Whatever that meant. A sweet old auntie. Thank you, subscribers, and my nieces and nephews, and all the y'all who have been here through the long. Shall we get into it? Oh, yes, we shall. It's time for auntie advice. Sweet old. It's time for auntie advice. Oh, yeah. It's time for auntie advice. Y'all, if this episode wasn't a mess, it was halfway boring and halfway interesting. Hi, everybody. Let's get into 90 Day Fiance, The Single Life, Season 5, Episode 2, The Act of Tinseling. I swear I don't know what that means. Y'all have to tell me downtown in the comments section. So let's get into it. I made some notes so we can talk about it. So basically, in this episode, there were a couple of things that went on, right? I thought that, it was sad that it was a filler episode in my opinion. I really wanted more out of it, especially coming off the heels of Kim being transparent about having this other son by the name of Larry who looked her up, right? And so we're gonna go ahead on and talk about them real quick. And then we're gonna get up out of here. Okay, so let me see if do I have their pictures? I don't think I have their pictures. Okay, so now Pedro has pulled out all the stops, right, for Sophie. He's saying that he wants to be in this serious relationship with her. Her and her girls come to town. Why they got Julia with him, I don't know. But they're still all out at the bar and they're, having a conversation and stuff like that. Pedro has been a little disappointed, right? With the way that Sophie is not hemming and hawing and falling all out. We know that Sophie is immature in relationships. We've seen that with the way that, she handled her relationship with Rob, wanting toys and stuff like that. I will never forget when he brought her that squish toy and they were arguing and everything, and she just wanted the squish toy or whatever the daggone toy was called. Anyway. And so, Pedro is trying to pull out all the stops and stuff. And he has a conversation with Liz, and he asked Liz about whether or not, where Sophie was and stuff like that. Liz started off by saying she was having a good time. She is out there, single and free, trying to do her little thing, right? Which she should. Okay. Ain't nobody mad about Liz. So Pedro asks Liz, basically about how Sophie is feeling and all of that, right? Because he's been getting the cold shoulder from her. And he's really, trying to act like he's trying to pursue this relationship. I don't believe that he's trying to pursue this relationship the way he is. But anyway, we're going to go with what he's trying to put on stage. Liz simply told him Sophie is trying to heal. She's been through some things. She's coming off the heels of her relationship with Rob, and she's trying to heal. Just simple as that. Simple as that. But that ain't good enough for Pedro because Pedro sees it as a rejection. He is like, okay, so if she ain't even into me, why is she here in the DR? Because y'all all signed a contract with TLC to be on here. Y'all has been and ain't got nothing else going on. So she did the same thing you did. I mean, I'm sorry, are we missing something here? Sophie gets back, they all get back in the little van and they going on about their life. The next thing you know, Pedro asked her, you want to do anything tomorrow? And she was like, absolutely sure, we could do something. And he was like, let's go to the beach. So she was like, okay, all right, then let's go to the beach. And so, the next day they go to the beach and, she wears this little red sexy outfit and stuff like that. And I'm just thinking, I'm just talking for myself. Y'all let me know what y'all think downtown in the comment section. But if I'm not really into a guy, no matter how cute my little outfit is, I'll wear it on the beach with my girlfriends. But if I don't want him to think anything, I'm not going to show him anything and I'm not going to have on something as revealing as she did. But I guess she probably figured I packed it, I'm going to wear it. So I'm like, okay, she packed it, she'll wear it. So she goes and she has, a meal with Pedro, and Pedro is really trying to lock her down into something that I don't believe she said. Pedro is basically trying to say that Sophie said that she was overrobbed. She was like, I never told you that. I never told you I was at a place of healing. Like, Pedro, I never told you that. And he was like, okay, so, because in his mind, he's thinking, why isn't she falling all over me? Now, the two of them has said that they were together, they've seen each other 3 times and stuff like that, but she is very standoffish. Sophie said, why can't he just relax? Let's just let things happen naturally. He ain't got to be doing all of this, right? And so, they get their little relationship gets really contentious between the two of them, because she's saying, Pedro, I never told you that I was head over heels and I wanted to be in this relationship. And I don't like when somebody says I lie, because Pedro is basically saying that, it is something that it isn't. Then he throws Liz under the bus by lying and saying that Liz said, I don't really think she's into you. And is she really that into you and stuff like that? Liz never said that. Liz did not say that. Liz said the girl been through some stuff and she's still in the process of healing. But because Pedro sat there and told a lie, now it's making the relationship between Liz, Julia, and Sophie contentious. And I don't understand what his motivation was for doing that, for causing a rift between these ladies, and for lying on Liz. And for once, I felt sorry for Liz, because Liz was like, I'm out here living my best life. I've already met the guy, what's his name, Villa or whatever his name is. She just did to have a good time with her girls. At the end of this segment, as they wrapped it up, Liz was really sad, because now it done got back to her that the girls have been having fun. They've been having slumber parties and all kinds of stuff. And she's been in her room uninvited. Pedro is for doing that. Like, for real. Why would you tell a lie? The way that he's trying to get out of it is when he said it to Sophie, he said, she made me feel like you ain't interested, that you know. But this isn't about how she made you feel. She's making you feel like I'm not that interested in you. And I really need you to stand down. I need you to relax, because it isn't what it is. And of course, we all know that Sophie is absolutely not overall. Pedro, you need to be ashamed of yourself for doing something like this, because this was just low down to the gutter. Like, this was a gutter move on his part. It really, really was. The next couple that I want to talk about, and I don't have their picture on here, and I probably did it on purpose, knowing me and my petty self, is Coltee. Coltee is staying at the house with Courtney and her parents, y'all. This man will find him somewhere a cot in a hobby. I don't know whether or not, and I've been really thinking about it, y'all. If Coltee set that fall up and just didn't think it was going to be that serious. But as we all know, Coltee is no longer with Vanessa. Vanessa straight kicked him to the curb. They went back on Coltee's relationships. And, I think the girl that he was with, was her name Jessica? And of course, we all know he was with Larissa. But Coltee found a way to stay at Courtney's parents' home. Now, Courtney's parents want her out the house, but they don't really mind her being there. Coltee is mooching off of Courtney and her parents, and he can't even satisfy her at night. Is he can get it enough to get his lollipop licked, but he can't keep it up long enough to satisfy her. That's a selfish lover. In the meantime and in between time, he messing with another girl in Brazil. He had already made plans when he was on the single life to go and see this girl after the show. However, he needed somewhere to lay his head when he came back. So he had an accident. Hi, Yolanda. Hey, Sugar 48. Gotta make sure I say hi to my members, y'all. Hold on. Let me break for a minute. Hey, Nathan. Hey, G Debo. Hey, Dancing Outlaw. I always think about you when you come in the chat, and I'm like, I wonder if he's sitting. Hey, Boo. Oh my God, Dancing Outlaw, you've been with me that long. I've missed you, but wanted to tell you that you're beautiful as ever. Oh, you're so sweet. I always be thinking when you are talking to me that you are out there on a wooden porch in a good old broken rocking chair with a piece of wheat or something, and you just chilling out there. It's good to see you. It is so good to see you. Oh my goodness. But a Coltee's just looking for a place to lay his head because Vanessa is done with him. He's in the house. He ain't even giving her none. He's of no use. This mofo can't even walk. They pushing his ass around in a wheelchair. And he says that the reason why he can't get it up is because he's on medicine. It's a lot of stuff he has to do, and because of his leg. Let me tell you something. If a man want it, he gonna get it any kind of way he gonna get it. I don't care if he got to be in a wheelchair with her riding. I think that Coltee has been with so many women that he's basically incompetent at this point. I don't think that he would have been able, even if he was walking, to satisfy the girl in Brazil. And then Courtney said is as big as a dime. If you don't get out of here, love you too, Miss Todd. Oh my God, look how long you've been with me. I love you, dog. I love all y'all. Ain't no way. What you saying, Miss Che? Coltee was trying hard to have one Brazilian girl with him on the show. And we Brazil, we have free healthcare system. Okay? A mess, a mess, a mess, a mess. Look at y'all. Hi, Nathan. Love you, Auntie. Thank you for a blessing. Oh, thank you for a blessing. Oh, you so welcome. What blessing? Coltee is so nasty that his underwears. Love you, Nathan. Coltee is so nasty that his underwear is it has been found 3 times in her parents' laundry. That's so unacceptable and so disrespectful to the father. So disrespectful. And Courtney knows. and she can feel that Coltee is not into her. He had a conversation with his friend and basically was telling his friend he don't have nothing for Courtney. It's so sad. She cannot find love. Talk about find love. Gino is back with the other girl. And since when is she from DC? I never knew she was from DC. Coltee has flown out to DC to be with her. I can't even think of her daggone name. She's so insignificant. And the whole time he's sitting there with her, he talking about Jasmine. On the little spinoff show that comes on afterwards, Jasmine was like, keep my name out your mouth. Now, that's one thing I can agree with her about. If he's on a date with this girl, y'all, what is her name? If he's on a date with her, why is he talking about Jasmine every 5 minutes? Because he's not over her. This is something for his name to stay in our mouths and for him to get $5.50 from TLC. He gets no royalties, no nothing from being on here. But he is just absolutely not doing anything else with his life. Why are they both on here? She takes Coltee back to her house for what? It didn't work the first time. It ain't gonna work this time. They getting on my nerve. Like, I'm just telling y'all. Oh, thank you. What'd you say? Yes, one of the girls even gave an interview with a Brazilian blogger some time ago. She found he was cheating on her with other Brazilians. Y'all, why as women do we not want more for our lives? It's just atrocious. Again, as I said, this is a filler episode in my he really wants to talk back to Natalie, and Natalie is allowing Gino to even talk to her. Like, this is stupid. This is stupid. Because all she's doing, Courtney is doing, is just, I'm just going from each one to each one, but let me finish with Kim. So, of course, we all know last week, Kim came out and gave her big confession. Again, I believe that Kim should have negotiated for her own show. She is the only one that's carrying this season. The rest of them, just a made up fool la la. Gino and Natalie, for what? Nobody else is going to date them. But Kim is continuing the conversation with Jamal. And there's acting that goes on. Hey, Sawada, are you back? When did you leave? Mwah, 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 mwah. Welcome back to the membership, Miss Sawada. Yes, Miss Chains, it doesn't. I agree. She doesn't seem like one to know her worth, though. Ooh, Ray Della said, "Get them." You said you don't know. It got you as a new member. Oh, thank you, boo. I just love listening to you talk. It soothes my mind. I don't even watch The Single Life. Oh, how sweet. Oh, Kim's storyline is the bomb. This is the bomb. I could sit and watch this back and forth and back. Y'all, Jamal don't trust his mother past his eyelashes. We found out last episode, in case y'all just coming in or have just discovered me downtown on the YouTube, that Kim not only had one child but two. Jamal reveals that he found out that he had a sister a girl, a sister that Kim gave up for adoption in her early 20s. He found out at the age of 12 because he was ear hustling on a conversation that Kim was having with her mother. And he found out he had a sister. Now Kim finds out that her adopted son Larry has found her. Larry is coming into town to get to know Kim better. Instead of Kim telling Larry when she went down to visit him in the South, she's going to tell Larry when he gets there. She said she couldn't really find the space to tell Larry that he had a sister after he just discovered them. I understand that. I must say that I understand that. But Jamal is saying you should have just ripped the whole band-aid off. At the time that you revealed who you were and we went down to visit Larry, you should have done that. So Kim is saying this was a hard decision for her to make. And, probably people are asking, why wouldn't you just expose it all? And Kim was saying that, it was a hard, like I said, a hard decision for her to make. She wasn't ready to talk about it with Larry because, she was just getting to know him. But now that he's coming up, now she realizes that she has to be open and honest with him to really get to know him. Kim tells Jamal, you don't have to go with me when I meet with Larry. And Jamal was like, oh, hell no. I want to be there. Not for his mother, but for his brother. And the reason why he wants to be there for his brother is because he don't trust Kim. He already knows that Kim is dishonest. I'm sure that he has seen her be dishonest with Usman and every other person that has been in Kim's life, with the exception of her mother. So not only does Jamal have distrust with Kim based on how she has carried herself on his show and the things that he knew, because mind you, he knew about this child as 12. But when we were introduced to Jamal, put it together, when we were introduced to Jamal, Jamal had to act. He had to act as if he was the only child. Think about that. He knew he had a sister when we first met Jamal. Kim advertised Jamal as her only child. So Jamal has been carrying this lie for Kim throughout Kim's entirety, through the entire time Kim's been on this show dating Usman. Jamal knew his mother was lying to the 90-Day Fiance fans, and he lied with her to cover her. And now that this has been exposed, Jamal said, I'm not doing it no more. And I'm not going to let you mess up Larry's life with this continuation of a lie. I'm coming because I don't trust you to be honest with Larry. Because Jamal, as I said, y'all really think about that. Think about the impact of that. Jamal been lying and covering from Kim from the first time we met him. Even when we have been seeing him with the boys and they've been doing their little music videos and all of that kind of stuff together, him and the crew, he was putting up a facade that he was an only child, knowing his mother had a child that she put up for adoption. I have never had to put a child up for adoption. So I cannot um, pretend to know how that feels. I can't. But I don't think I would hide it from my child. There are difficult things that I've had to discuss with my child. My fear in holding it and not disclosing was the fear that someone else would tell her who didn't care about the effects or effects it would have on her to know it. So before somebody else could spray my tea, I sprayed my own. And I think that parents have a responsibility in protecting our children. It's protecting our children from other people. And if you leave your child vulnerable with somebody spray your tea, you're a fool. I sprayed my own tea. I told my child when it was appropriate for me to do so. When I knew that the mind was mature enough to be able to handle me spraying my tea before I'm at a family reunion, in a disagreement with a friend who grew up with me as I was a child, and hearing something that would devastate my child. And here Jamal is a grown person on television lying over one child and then finding out about another one. Although I have sympathy, know what you're saying? Let me see. Kim probably just thought no one would find out, but this isn't the 40s. You can't hide adoptions anymore. You can't hide anything anymore. That's true, which is why I sprayed my own tea. It was only fair for me to do that. Can you imagine having some tea and your child find out from somebody who may or may not have the intent of hurting them down to their bones, to the bone marrow? You know, I read the Bible, and the Bible says that the tongue is so sharp that it cuts down through the very marrow, the bone of a person, past the skin, the muscle, the deep tissue, all of that, all the way down to it is sharper than any two-edged sword. That's how sharp the tongue is. Imagine someone having this information, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, and tell your child. How devastated was Jamal when he found out at 12 that he was not an only child and he had a sister that his mother gave up? The guilt that Jamal may have felt, like, why me? The nights, the restless, sleepless nights that he probably said, well, why she keep me? Questioning why he is even here. And mind you, this wasn't with different people. This was with the same man. And she says, well, how can you make a mistake twice? People are asking. I'm asking that too. Because when do you take responsibility and accountability and grow the fuck up? It was Jamal. And why Jamal? See, I haven't heard that yet. Why she decided, I don't know if I missed it through me looking at her through a lens of what? because I am looking at her through that lens. Mhm. I keep Jamal. And I'm also looking at the authentic pain that Jamal is carrying for being kept and being kept away from the truth of who his mother really is. Kim tells Jamal, "Do you think that this doesn't hurt me?" No. After 34, 35 years, Kim, when did it start hurting? When Jamal found out? She said she had been carrying that for 34, 35 years. The burden is the lie. The burden is the lie of not telling Jamal the truth. The burden is deceiving Jamal. Because when you were in your 20s, you made a decision that you thought you needed to make. Hey, V Man! V Man said Kim is selfish and insidious to Jamal and her own children. She continued that behavior even when she was trying to catfish Larry. Her approach was deceptive from the jump and never provides solid foundation. Absolutely. Tell the living the truth. Now Jamal is walking around with that embarrassment on him, and he don't trust his mother. And Kim wants him to sympathize and say, "You didn't think this hurt me?" No, I didn't. Because it's hard to reconcile, right, with oneself that you would have two kids, give them up for adoption, continue on with your life, have me by the same man, and then everything is cool in the game. And just not talking about it and having him walk around in this deception. That's the problem with a lie that need to be told. You know, I don't know if y'all family is made up like mine, but there's certain things you find out when you become an adult that you be like, what about your kinfolk or people in your neighborhood? Like, you see Mr. and Mrs. Jones living together, and you going to school with their kids, and you find out Mr. and Mrs. Jones won't never married because there's a ruckus out in the parking lot of him fighting with a woman he really was already married to, and that just been his side piece and their kids. You find out things about your uncles and your aunts and cousins and stuff, and you be like, what, for real? Because back in my day, kids sat at the kids table. You weren't privy to the adult conversations. And then when you became an adult and you find out stuff, you wish you ain't never find it out, because now you looking at such and such with the side eye. And then Kim wants empathy and sympathy. I have empathy and sympathy for that 20-year-old girl, and empathy and sympathy for the 21-year-old girl, but not for this one. Because there was no excuse to continue to lie on and to continue it on in our face. Would you say, sugar? I found out at 55 that I had another sister. I'm sorry, baby. I hope y'all close. Redella said, y'all gonna tell y'all, I get tickled when my moderator say something. She be so professional. And when she say something, I be tickled. It tickles me. Kim need to get it together. And now Kid Kim wants a man and think that a man is gonna make this better. That now she can have somebody to cry on their shoulder, on her shoulder. She can cry on their shoulder. No, Kim, it don't work like that. You're going to have to pay for some of that. And the thing about it is, we don't know the life that her adopted children have gone through. Why Kim is in a pity party and wanting people to understand that, in my opinion, it's a false sense of taking responsibility. Where you can be open and honest, that is taking responsibility. If she had met Larry and told Larry about his sister, that's taking full responsibility. But still, she sits there and lies to him after she's met him and her grandbaby. And you still got this lie lingering on that Jamal got a hold. See, because Jamal said in this episode that he feel bad because he hiding a lie too. You see what I'm saying? Taking full responsibility. Jamal ain't got to hold that because in reality, it's not Jamal to hold. Jamal should not be taking responsibility for the sins of his mother. He shouldn't. It's just wrong on so many levels. It's wrong on so many levels. But I'm going to tell you right now, Kim is carrying this show on her back because the rest of them is some fucking foolishness. Kim, you need to learn how to negotiate. You should have told them, no, I ain't doing single life. I want my own spinoff. Because let me tell you something, honey. We would all be sitting there week after week, waiting with bated breath, tongues hanging out, ready to get this tea. You should not have even used this with them. I'm sure you didn't get paid, but you could have got paid off of this. You need to learn how to negotiate because this is the storyline. Who cares about Coltee and Courtney and Pedro? And don't nobody care about that. We care about your story, y'all. We want to hear what you got to say and how you going to get up out of this. This is the storyline. This is how 90 Day Fiance used to be when we would be sitting waiting on Sunday to come. I used to go live that night. Do y'all remember those of y'all that been with me? I used to go live as soon as the show went off. Not no more. Anyway, y'all let me know downtown in the comment section what y'all thought of this episode because I'm going to tell you right now, Coltee, Courtney about to put him out. Pedro is exposed for the liar that he is. And Jamal don't trust his mama. Okay. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thank y'all so much for being here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel and hit that hype button. I love y'all. And until we meet again, y'all be safe out there in those streets and in the water. Bye, y'all.